show that's absolutely free. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, locally grown, home-owned since 1952.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You know what's weird in the relationship between men and women? What's weird is that it's so easy to talk to another person. It's so easy. As a man, I have no problem talking to another woman. But if I was interested in her, holy mackerel, I would be like a nervous wreck. And how do I know this? Because I have lived my life.
Oh, wow.
I can remember as a kid having a crush on a girl or whatever and getting her phone number and dialing. This was when dials had dials. I mean, actual dials.
Oh, yeah, I like dials. I do. I do prefer dials.
With a little quarter moon, little silver thing that stopped your finger. And I would dial 6 of the numbers. Mm-hmm. I couldn't dial that 7. Remember, there was seven numbers.
Oh, my gosh.
On the computer, I get all these things that say, hey, there's a lady in your neighborhood that looks like this, and she wants to get to know you. I said, wow, she looks pretty good. I should click on that thing, maybe. I don't know. And then I heard about this thing called Tinder. And Tinder is like one of these apps where if you you get a picture of somebody. I don't know. I saw the ad for Tinder, and the ad for Tinder shows this woman at work in a cubicle, and somebody sends her a message, how was your vacation? And then she sits back in a chair and she remembers this marvelous vacation where she's in Paris, she's in London, she's in New York City, she's all over the globe, and every place she goes, she's with another guy, and every other scene for about a microsecond, you see her in bed, and so you get the feeling, okay, so she's not just with guys like having dinner, but they're going all the way.
They're culminating their relationship.
She's a beautiful woman, and she looks to be in her 30s, and I thought, well, this is all history for us, because we are, as they say, baby boomers.
Yes.
But there's a book right here. If I have attracted your attention at this point. The book is called The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. Ken Solin is the author, and he's on the phone. And one of the things I chuckled at was that when he was with a lady, I can't remember what part it was, he didn't have to remind her that, or tell her that Paul McCartney was with another group. Which,
that's a plus.
I don't know.
That's a plus.
I guess that's where we can relate to things. Good morning, Ken. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks, Larry. Good morning to you and Robin.
Well, you sound like a New Yorker. Where are you?
Actually, I'm in California, but I'm originally an East Coast boy from Boston and then New York for a while, but I've been out here for about 40 years. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco. Now, doesn't San Francisco, let's see. Why do you need online when you're in San Francisco? Isn't there enough offline stuff?
I suppose, yeah.
But it's fun, right? I mean, are you a dater? I mean, do you date a lot?
Actually, I met my partner online 2 years ago, so I'm not dating now, but I dated online for several years on and off between some brief relationships. And so everything I've written about in the Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online is based on my experiences and the experiences of tens of thousands of Huffington Post and AARP readers who've commented on my articles. I think sometimes their feelings are real different than mine, but I think the first thing that came to me when I started writing for the Huffington Post a couple of years ago, I wrote an article about why men need to be emotionally honest with women. And, of course, it's a boomer page, HuffPost 50. And it got over 2,000 comments overnight, which is a real rock star number.
Yeah, right. And
it wasn't me. It was the topic. And 1,000 women said, yes, of course, that's what we always wanted. And 1,000 guys said, you must be crazy. If you're emotionally honest with a woman, she'll ridicule, abuse, or dump you. So I realized, when I wrote that article, that there's a real undeclared war going on between boomer men and women. And it only got worse since then. And not only in my own dating experiences, although I was pretty open to. I'm a huge fan of boomer women. I think they are absolutely amazing, and I never dated any women except boomers. And as you said in your intro, it's great not to have to explain that Paul McCartney wasn't always a solo act.
If they even know that he's a solo act at all. Well, I'm with you. I think people should stick with their own age group. I mean, within reason. I mean, Hugh Hefner being with that 25-year-old woman, and then he was surprised that she left him. Hello.
Yeah.
How was he surprised at that? All right. Yeah. So let me ask you this: do we ever understand women? Do us guys ever understand women? I didn't then, and I don't now.
It's interesting because men are linear thinkers. It's a straight line. With women, if they want to make a point, sometimes it seems to carry them all over the place, and they finally get to that point. And sometimes when my partner talks to me about something an issue we're discussing, I have no idea what she's talking about, and I have to ask her, could you be a little more succinct? And
so can I?
She zeroes in.
I get those questions too.
I have a personal question for you. The personal question is, why do you call her your partner and not your girlfriend?
Well, because after a couple of years and we spend so much time together, she is my partner in every way. She's my best friend. And I guess that's the first time I've ever really been able to say that about any woman I've been with. She is absolutely my best friend and partner. So she's more than my girlfriend. She's not my wife, but she's definitely more than my girlfriend.
I've never been a playboy. I remember as a kid being in a shop class. This is in junior high school, and one of the other kids, the teacher, the carpenter teacher, said, "What do you guys want to be when you grow up?" It was all guys. And one of the kids said, "I want to be a playboy." And the shop teacher said, "That's the loneliest thing you could ever be, is a playboy." And I've always remembered that. And as I got old, but as a young man, you look at Playboy magazine and you think, okay, this is going to be for me. I'm going to have this one tonight, the next one. You hear these stories, right. But the truth is, it never really appealed to me.
No.
Not that it doesn't appeal to somebody else. And that's why I think I like the title, which says "The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online." Mm-hmm. It's not the Boomer Guide to being a playboy in your 60s.
No, and the truth is, and I'm close to 70, the truth is I'm having the best sex I've ever had in my life, and so's my partner, and it's because we've deepened the intimacy in our relationship through this incredible friendship, love thing we have going on, and sex is just amazing. So, and I think also as we get older, the idea of casual sex for men especially, it's not going to be so easy anymore. Our bodies sort of change, and a guy who gets older who's still depending on his body to carry the day is going to be really disappointed. And I've worked with men for 25 years now in groups too, so I know something about men. And when a guy is only in his 60s and he says he's given up sex, I usually can determine fairly quickly it's because he doesn't know how to access his feelings about himself or a woman, and you can't depend on your body alone. I devoted a whole chapter in the Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online just to sex and how to have the best sex of your life. And for women, I think it's a little easier because they don't have as much, they've got a lot more practice sharing their feelings with other women, friends for 30, 40 years. If men had those kind of connections with other men, that they could actually share their honest feelings, they would have an easier time sharing those feelings with women.
Yeah.
And that's something you're doing most succinctly is to describe honesty, because honesty isn't just about right or wrong, it's about emotions too.
Absolutely. And women play a part in that too. And I always caution women, if you ask a guy in a relationship, even if you're just dating, how he's feeling about you or how he's feeling about the relationship, you have to be prepared to hear his truth. And if his truth isn't what you wanted to hear, that doesn't give you the right to judge or express opinions or get angry at him. You can be disappointed. You can tell him it's not what you'd hope to hear. But if you shut him down, or shout him down by expressing your disapproval of his feelings, he's never going to do that again. That'll be the last conversation you'll ever have about how he feels about you.
And you would think we would have learned this by now. It's an interesting thing, the relationship between men and women. We need to take a little break, catch up on the weather, and we've got a golf report in here as well. Ken Solin is our guest. We'll be right back with the Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating, there's no accident. It'll be sunny today, but chilly with a high of 59 to 63. Clear and cold tonight with lows in the mid to upper 30s inland, 48 on the coast. Tomorrow, beautiful day with sunshine and a milder afternoon, high 65 to 69. And on Friday, partly sunny, the high 66 to 70. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
The Usual Suspects is a jazz quartet playing your favorites of swing, Latin, and blues. Come to their final performance at Arthur's Bistro in the Ocala Hilton Saturday, January 31st from 6:30 till 9:30 p.m. When you hear The Usual Suspects, think how they would sound at your next event. Don't miss this opportunity to hear The Usual Suspects. To contact The Usual Suspects, call 352-427-4216. It's 352-427-4216. Then sit back and enjoy the sound.
All right, 16 minutes after 11 o'clock. Tom Schmitz is on the phone. He's calling from the Coates LPGA Golf Championship. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Larry. Welcome to the Coates Golf Championship, presented to you by R&L Carriers. This update brought to you by KMF Downtown Fitness Properties Salon. Let's go right up to the Regions Bank scoreboard. Ha Ha Jang still in the lead through 14 holes. She's 4 under. Angela Stanford in second place through 9 holes. She's 2 under. She's tied with Minji Lee and Austin Ernst. Today, the major pairings you want to look for today, Stacey Lewis, number 2 in the world, Lydia Ko and Kari Webb going off at 12:35. MB Park, number 1 in the world, plus Michelle Wee and Paula Creamer going off at 12:45. And Cheyenne Woods, the niece of Tiger Woods, she tees off at 12:55. It's a beautiful day out here, Larry. The sun is bright in the sky. The temperature is warming up. You can get a day ticket for $15 to the Coates Golf Championship. You can buy a weekly pass for $40 to the Coates Golf Championship. Thanks to all of our sponsors, KMS Downtown Fitness, Regions Bank, the Property Salon, and of course, Ocala Golf Club for having us out here. This will be my last update for the morning. We'll be live on the Voice of Ocala, Larry, at 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock, coming to you live from out here at the Coates Golf Championship. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Tom. All right, we'll be right back.
What do you need?
Disease control.
What do you get?
Disease control.
Copper ions do the trick.
Copper ions do the trick.
Killing fungus mighty slick.
Killing fungus mighty slick.
On better copper I am sold.
On better copper I am sold.
Champ ion turns crops to gold.
Champ ion turns crops to gold.
Smaller.
Smaller.
Copper.
Copper.
Tell your sister, tell your mother. Champ ion has got you covered.
Got more cover, don't you know? You got better disease control.
Recruits, ask your retailer for Champ Ion or go to newfarm.com. Always read and follow label instructions.
Hooah!
All right, 18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Ken Solin is on the phone out in San Francisco, getting up somewhat early to be with us. Ken is an expert on boomer dating, sex, and relationships, and a columnist. And his book is called The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. His website, I hope I have this right, is kensolin.com, KENS, as in Sam, OLIN, kensolin.com. Ken, we've been kind of expressing our opinion about dating, and it might not be what everybody agrees with, but the one thing I think everybody agrees with is if you want to, if you're a boomer and you've never really tried the whole online thing, or maybe you have and you got disappointed with it, help me understand what it's like. What is it like to use it? Are there some good ones and some bad ones?
I think most of them are. They're all pretty much the same in terms of being user-friendly, which I think for boomers is helpful. You don't have to be a computer expert to get online anymore. But I think there's a lot of mistakes that boomers make, and then it doesn't work out, and they get frustrated. And I think some of the easy, obvious tips that I can that I tell I'm a date coach also, and I tell my clients, when I help them write their profiles, write an interesting profile. Be creative. Don't be the same as I've been on vacation to Borneo and Europe, and pick a place you've been, and write a creative little film in your head, and then put it down in a short paragraph about some place you've been that you'd love to share with a lover. In my own profile, I used Paris because I like Paris, and it was just a day in Paris with a lover, walking along the left bank, along the river, and going to the Musée d'Orsay Museum, and a late afternoon a lunch at an outdoor cafe. Back to the hotel for make love and a nap, and get up and have drinks at the Cafe Lip, and then go out for dinner. Well, I don't know if it was corny or not, but the number of women who responded to that was remarkable.
Yeah.
I think that's good. And the other part is absolutely put a photo. If you don't put a photo in your profile, you're as good as dead. No one is going to.
I would assume a current photo is important.
Yeah, and hopefully one that's not heavily airbrushed. I mean, be honest. And that's the other thing is, people generally, and this is true for men too, which is kind of surprising. Boomers lie about their ages on their online.
Not
profile.
a good thing. No, I can't imagine that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, and if you meet somebody and you realize they've lied, the first thing I always thought about was, what else aren't they telling me the truth about?
Well, and that's the part I wondered about, because I feel that men have a reputation with women that we're out for only one thing. And while that one thing is something we're out for, it is not necessarily the only thing. And so a man with good intentions, let's say, that really wants to find true love, first has to prove that he's not out just for the one night's, romp in the sack. He has to prove that somehow.
I agree. And I think one of the biggest obstacles in boomer dating is that, the boomer dating in 2015 doesn't even remotely resemble the 60s and 70s, the last time a lot of these guys dated. And for a guy especially, I wrote an article for the Huffington Post a few weeks ago that the most dangerous guy in the boomer dating scene is a recently divorced man, because they haven't had sex in years, because their marriage was probably bad for at least 2 or 3 years before they finally broke up, and all they want to do is have sex. And I'm not an advocate for first date sex. In fact, I think we've all had enough rocket rides, and I think what's really worthwhile is to get to know somebody well enough to want to have sex with them because you actually love them, and you think there's a possibility for a relationship.
So when you started using the online, were you worried that the woman was going to wonder, why is this guy at that age not hooked up with somebody? I would imagine that they would think, well, either his wife died and all I'm going to hear about is how much he misses her, or he's been such a loser, and that's not good either. That would be a fear, I would think, of a lot of guys if you're at this age, putting yourself out there, and the women have to try to figure out, well, why is he on here? I mean, they're on there too, but we don't care.
Well, the truth is, especially for boomers, if you're recently single or been single for not too long, the only way you're going to meet somebody is through friends, and that takes about 10 minutes because nobody knows anybody single anymore, and even if they do, the chances that person is going to be your dream date are pretty remote. So online dating isn't looked at the way it used to be. I think it's a legitimate way for boomers to meet. And my book explains how to do that, painlessly, because it doesn't have to be a scary, frightening experience. I even write about safety, online dating safety, especially for women, because it does get weird sometimes.
Sure. There's got to be a lot of weirdos. That's why it's weird to do it, because you know that everybody who's looking, every woman who's looking, from a man's perspective, is saying to themselves, "This, I hope this isn't a weirdo." And so if you're not a weirdo, but you're not confident, you might come across as a weirdo.
Well, in my book, I list 5 questions or 6 questions you need to ask on a first date, and rather than wasting time on a first date, which is really, you got to think of it as an interview. asking things like, what's your favorite movie? Do you like sushi? Whatever. Those questions are kind of inane, and they don't go anywhere. And at the end of that first date, you think, well, I don't know, maybe another date. Well, if you ask the right questions, you don't have to go for a second date because you'll know. Or you want to go for a second date because you'll know. So I think the Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online absolutely takes all the pain out of dating. And then you just have to endure. And make it a coffee date. God, don't ever go out for a lunch or dinner on a first date, because the worst thing in the world is to be stuck at a table for an hour and a half. You're looking at them, watching the food dribble out of their mouth. What am I doing here?
Oh,
so
no.
make coffee. If it's coffee and you're not happy, say, you know what, thanks very much for meeting me, but this doesn't feel right to me. And you get up and leave. And you do yourself a huge favor. So, men like to sweep women off their feet. Let's go out for dinner. No, don't sweep somebody. Women don't want to be swept off their feet. They want to get to know somebody. They want to fall in love in kind of an organic way, just as it happens. If you sweep somebody off your feet, that's the beginning of a rocket ride. Because the next thing is we had a romantic dinner, candles, drinks, and then we go to your place and we make love. No.
So how much of the time online is spent before the actual in-person date?
I always suggest that after the first emails, get on the phone, talk to them. You can pick up a lot from somebody's voice too. So get on the phone, have a couple conversations, or at least one, and you can ask some of the questions that I suggest in my book.
Uh-oh, you still there?
I really want to meet this man or woman.
Ken, you're dropping out. You still there? He's dropping out. I don't hear him anymore.
Friends. Do you have any men friends?
Oh, there you are.
A guy without men friends is a guy with trust issues. He's a loner. You're going to become his entire universe. It's not healthy.
Oh, okay. All right, I got to get some more friends, Robin.
And it is most wise for the couples to meet each other instead of saying, I will come to your place and pick you up.
Oh, I'd never go to somebody's house and never invite them into your home. I met a woman at the beach one day. I used to live at the beach, and invited her for dinner, and she drank the best part of a bottle of wine and wouldn't leave. And told me she's not leaving because she lives there too. And it got so bad I had to get a neighbor to help me get her out of there. So no, don't invite anybody you don't know.
The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. Ken Solin wrote the book. Do you pay for these online services, or are they free, or is there both?
Free. Some are free. In fact, I'm a big fan of a couple of the free ones. OkCupid's free, and I met my partner on OkCupid, so I think it's a good website. But if you go onto my website, kensolin.com, it has a lot of this information just on the website. So all the articles and the blogs I've written for the last 2 years are on. There's some videos I've done. A television appearance I did on the Today Show's on there. So there's a lot of good information in there. So go to kensolin.com. You can get the book through it. You can get all the information you want about boomer dating.
And your two descriptive words, mature and fulfilling, those have to be in the forefront.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody get what they want. Everybody needs to everybody has to get their needs met, and that can happen. And there's a way to have that conversation, that emotionally honest conversation, and I spend a considerable amount of time explaining that. All the reviews so far on Amazon, most of them have been 5-star reviews, so women and men are finding it useful.
And John Gray gave it a thumbs up. We've had John on the show as well. The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. You can have it. It's just in time for Valentine's Day. You never know if you're a man or a woman. This is for women as well as men. I kind of dominated the conversation. Robin wasn't on as much today, but this is for women too, right?
Absolutely. In fact, it's really aimed at women because women are the ones that are having the hardest time dating. As boomers, they're having the hardest time because they can't get men to understand that this isn't 1965 anymore.
No, but Paul McCartney was with at least one other band.
Yeah.
All right, call me if you want the book. The rest of us have to buy. Go to Ken's site, kensolin.com, Ken for Ken, and Solin, S as in Sam, OLIN. Well, thank you for being on there. That was a fun conversation.
Thanks, Larry. You too, Robin.
All right.
Thank you so much.
We will take a little break, and we're going to do Password with Dan when we come back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The president's choice for Attorney General Loretta Lynch going before the Senate Judiciary Committee.
The next Attorney General will face